How's it going, everyone? Taki here. A few weeks ago, I did a review on this tiny little Intel PC, and around the same time that I got that device, I also got this much larger AMD box. Since this is launching on Indiegogo today, I thought I would finally release my video on the device. Mini PCs like this are nothing new, but the AMD chip inside this box is actually fairly decent, both in terms of general PC usage and for gaming. On the front of the device, you can see that we have a microphone input, one USB Type-C port, two USB 3.0 ports, a headphone jack, a power button, and a reset button. There's nothing on the sides, but you can get a good look at the finish. On the back, we have two USB 3.0 ports, one display port and an HDMI 2.0 port, two Ethernet ports, and a barrel jack. Below these ports, you can see a fan exhaust, but we'll take a better look at that in just a moment. This PC also ships with a few accessories in the box like video cables and a mounting bracket if you wanted to mount this device to a monitor, but I'm going to use it just like it is right now since it's fairly small and it doesn't take up much space on my desk. You can service the inside of this device by pressing down on the front lid to pop open the hinge. Even though this is the first video that I'm putting out on one of these, this is actually the 6th AMD board like this that I've tested in the last few months, and this one is arguably the most user-friendly because it's fairly easy to service. The standard designs usually look something like this and require some screws to be removed before you can access the SSD and RAM, so this lid mechanism is much better. Now, there isn't a whole lot that you can do to customize this device. You can essentially put a hard drive on the lid, upgrade the SSD, and upgrade the RAM. You can see on the model that I have that there is only a single stick of RAM, and you really are going to want to run this in dual channel or your performance is going to be much lower. I'm going to do more of a teardown so we can get a better look at the rest of the device. Almost all of the boards that I've used feature this same reference design with this large fan on the bottom, and it does a good job of moving heat off the CPU, as you'll see later in this video. We still have a couple more parts to remove, so I'm going to keep on going. Now that I have the board free, it's time to take out the SSD so we can take a look at it. As you can see, it's a 256GB Kingston stick. And here's a view of the Wi-Fi card before we continue with the teardown. The only thing left here is the huge heatsink, and I plan on removing it because I want to reapply the paste before I start my tests. While I'm here, I'm also going to take my time to remove the 8GB stick of RAM. I don't have another 8GB stick of RAM free, so I'm going to opt instead to use two 4GB sticks of the same clock speed to get increased performance. If you don't plan on gaming on a device like this, you don't really need to have dual channel RAM, but it's almost a necessity if you want to get the most performance out of this AMD chip. Here's a view of the paste before I quickly clean it off and repaste it. And finally, now that everything is done, it's time to clip back on the lid. I do want to mention that this device came with a wireless keyboard that also functions as a mouse when you tilt it, and I'll be using that along with an 8-bit Do SN30 Pro Plus for the games that I'm going to be testing, and a keyboard and mouse for all of the PC games that follow. You can find the full specs for this model in the description box below. Let's start off first with some N64, which isn't really a problem for a chip like this. I do want to call attention to the GPU and CPU usage throughout this video, but also to the CPU temperature so you can see how efficient that huge fan is at cooling down this device. Now let's take a look at PS1 using the Beetle core at 2x resolution with a few other visual performance options enabled.
What have I got?
Dreamcast is also no problem at all for this AMD processor, as you'll see from the footage of Redream on screen now. I don't ever upscale GameCube and Wii games over 2x resolution on the devices that I test, but there was a decent amount of headroom left, so all of the games with the exception of Sonic Heroes are running at 1080p. And similarly, this is Nintendo Wii, but I bumped down the resolution to 720p. Just like everything else in this range, PSP also has no issues running at full 1080p resolution, and I probably could have enabled more graphic improvement options to make the titles look better. I'm not sure what's going on with 3DS because I have had better performance than this on lower end AMD chips that I've used, but Citra is running very poorly on this device, and it probably is going to need some more updates to the emulator down the line to increase the performance of this device. Now let's jump over to Wii U with Breath of the Wild running at 720p. This is actually a title that performs about the same on the GPD Win Max surprisingly, except for the fact that this little PC consumes a decent amount of power to achieve this performance. I also want to clue everyone into the fact that I have built no cache at all on this computer, so you're seeing the power firsthand of the async update that came out this year, which makes this game a breeze to play. PS2 has a very large library, and I already know from experience that this chip can run all of the games that I typically test, but here are two of the ones that I usually test at 2x resolution with the safe preset on the PS2 emulator. I also tested Nintendo Switch, and I had expected to see better performance out of Super Mario Odyssey, but it seems to be around the same performance as the GPD Win Max from what I can see, but the other two games run very well. Finally, let's take a look at PS3. I also could probably get a few Xbox 360 games to run, but I felt like the systems that I did here did a good job of benchmarking the power of this AMD chip. You can obviously use this device for PC games, and it does do a better job than the Intel GPU in this current generation at the same titles. Here is a small collection of PC games.
Close to the wall! Quickly, follow me! Aztec, talk to me! Madre Santísima! Aztec, sound off now! No te mire mal! No te mire mal! No te mire mal! Prophet, help me! I need another head for my merry-go-round. Yours is perfect. Come to me, my pasty cake.
Anyway, that's it for this initial coverage of the new MinisForum device. I plan on doing another video down the line, and if there's anything that you want to see running on this device, feel free to let me know, and if you have any other questions, you can leave those as well. This thing is currently selling on Indiegogo, and if you want to pick one up, there's a non-affiliate link in the description box that you can use to buy one. Hopefully shipping out of China gets a little cheaper very soon, because I would like to give this away to one of you guys. I actually have a huge pile of stuff that I had planned on giving out throughout this year to my viewers, but 2020 has made logistics more expensive and complicated. If you liked the video, leave a like below, and while you're there, please consider subscribing to the channel. There are a ton of interesting and amazing devices that are going to be coming out in a few months that I cannot wait to finally show off. Happy gaming, everyone. Taki out.